So, wholesaling, flipping, or creative finance, which should you focus on first when you're just getting started? Stick around.
Hey, this is Bridger Pennington, Chris Nog,
Sherrod, Alex Casala,
Jamie Miller,
Matt Pocaro,
Tanisha Spencer,
David Old, Drew Hitchcock, and you're listening to the Investor Semester Podcast with Jeremy Davis.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Investor Semester Podcast. My name is Jeremy Davis. I will be your host. In today's episode, I'm just going to be doing a monologue of basically what you should start with, whether it be wholesale, creative finance, or flipping. A lot of the gurus out there, a lot of people talk about, different directions you could take, wholesaling being the easiest, flipping being the most sexy, and then creative finance being the highest level. But I'm going to break it down where, from a business standpoint, what you should really focus on. So first things first, guys, wholesaling. Okay, let's define the definition of that term. Are you a wholesaler? No. You're actually an investor. And more specifically, you are a person that owns a sales and marketing company, and wholesaling is just one of those exit strategies. Wholesaling, by definition, is you are selling the contract or the right to buy that property to another buyer. So if you are just really simple breakdown, if let's say a seller were selling you a property for $100,000 and a buyer were to be wanting to buy that property for $150,000, you can sell that buyer your contract and then you get to split the difference. Make sense, guys? All right. So to that point, wholesaling is just an exit strategy, and it kind of gets a bad rap or a bad name from a bunch of different real estate agents because they get upset that you're already marketing to their potential clients before they ever get a chance because, again, you're better at sales and marketing than they are. But when it comes to wholesaling, you could wholesale any deal. You could wholesale out a fix and flip. You could wholesale out a creative finance deal. But for the sake of this argument, wholesaling is going to be around a cash offer and cash terms. Beauty of cash deals, the beauty of cash wholesale deals is that you have the potential of closing in approximately like 2 weeks, right around there. You could be less, absolutely. But if you were to make, and this is kind of the mentality behind it, if you were to be able to make $30,000 on a wholesale deal versus $60,000 on a fix and flip, what would it be? What would you choose? Or better yet, $30,000 on a wholesale, $60,000 on a fix and flip, but $100,000 on a creative finance deal. What would you choose then? When it comes to business, guys, we have is the cash conversion cycle. And with that, it's also a matter of your mental sanity. And if you are able to close a deal quickly and get $30,000 into your account that you could then throw back into marketing and scale your business and thus grow and grow and grow, that is the best of all worlds. Now, when it comes to flipping, though, that's where you see HGTV shows and you see all those really cool things. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I flip properties and I do a damn good job at it. And when you flip those properties, you feel more tangible. You feel like, hey, I'm actually there. I'm seeing the transformation of a kitchen and a bathroom and like the before and the after. It's a really cool feeling. And so sometimes, though, I will allow myself to, how would I say it? Take the emotional side out of it. And while emotionally, I would love to do a fix and flip on a property every chance I get, if I'm able to make a quick buck rather than having to sit there for 6 months with it on the market, it makes a lot more sense for wholesale. Now, when it comes to creative finance, let's be very clear. Can you wholesale out a creative finance deal? You absolutely can, but the terms have to be really, really good. And you'll actually wonder why when you're looking at other wholesaler deals that are getting posted across the internet, why do they all suck? Well, it's simple. If you're able to structure a badass creative finance deal, are you going to sell that off or are you going to keep it yourself? Right? So now let's say you're great at structuring creative finance deals, but every creative finance deal does take what's called an entry fee. And that could be the arrears, that could be the commissions to an agent, that could be the closing costs, whatever it may be. It could even be repairing the carpet, sprinkler systems, doesn't matter. But every creative deal has some level of an entry fee. And I don't care what they say. They might say it was only $1 down, but then there's also going to probably be a balloon of $100,000 a month later. So just be careful about that. Like what you see on YouTube and what you see on the internet is not always the truth. But with an entry fee, you have to determine, okay, if it's $30,000 entry fee, but I'm able to cash flow $1,000 and that's all it is, that's a great investment, especially in a really great neighborhood. But where do you get that $30,000 from? And this is where I want to get you guys to take the emotion sometimes out of building out a portfolio or out of flipping a property. And I want you to take that emotion and put it aside. And I want you to identify that if you're doing a cash deal and you make $30,000, fantastic, good job. But then what happens next week when you get a creative deal that costs you $30,000 to do it? You've now created a roller coaster system for yourself. You've created almost a toxic environment where you're working only to get enough cash to be able to buy a creative deal. And then most of the time, those portfolio deals that you buy, what if they don't cash flow $1,000? What if they're only cash flowing like $100? With capital expenditure, and what happens when the AC breaks? What happens when there's a plumbing issue? You're now negative on that property, and now you got to hope to God that it's going to appreciate. And so if you're able to take $30,000 and invest it into marketing, that's going to be the only way you scale your business. But if you're going to be like, I want to build a portfolio, and I talk to so many students that their goal is, I want to build a portfolio or I want to get into a primary residence with creative finance, but they forget that it costs money to get there. So to kind of summarize this, wholesale and wholesaling deals are always going to be fantastic. And my general way of looking at it is that it's the rule of thirds. If I can triple my money in 3 months or less, I will go for a fix and flip. And if I can triple my money in 6 months or less on a creative deal above what a fix and flip would be, then I do that as well. And so I go, what can I do in a couple of weeks? What can I do in 3 months? And what can I do in 6 months? And if you live by those rules, then let's say you have to extend it out a little bit further. Let's say you're doing a creative finance deal where, I'll give you a great example. We made about a $200,000 spread on a deal where the family wanted to live in the property. So we kept them in the property for 4 months. And then we decided to flip the property. Actually, to be perfectly honest, we actually did what's called a wholesale deal in the beginning, where we took the property as is, we listed it on the market, and we got under contract twice. The only unfortunate part, though, was that a couple of other competing properties in the same neighborhood dropped their price by like $30,000 or $40,000, and it made it really difficult for us to be able to close. So we got out of contract twice, basically after inspections, and then we decided, screw it, we're putting money into it, right? So we renovated the property. Another 6 months go by, and because we structured it creatively, we didn't have to owe that seller any money until the property resold after we flipped it. So we flipped the property, the seller gets the remainder of their equity. We had it on a subject to, which meant that I didn't have to use a hard money loan. I was able to use their mortgage that was in place to make those payments, which kept my holding costs down. And then I was able to basically flip that property. And then at this point, 10 months after the point of purchase, right? 4 months keeping them in and 6 months on the renovation, we made $199,000. Great. Now, if I were to wholesale that deal, that creative deal, now what are the chances of finding a buyer that's okay keeping them in there for 4 months? Not very likely. Now, what's the chances of being able to find a buyer that will not only keep them in for 4 months and know to flip the property? Not very likely. So in that circumstance, I decided, you know what? I'm going to take the property. I'm going to hold on to it because my holding costs are so low that I'm going to then sell the property on the market and see how it performs, or I'm going to flip it even further down. And again, basically a year goes by until we close in escrow, and then we make $200,000 profit. And so these are the things that you have to pay attention to. But looking back at it now, if I could have assigned that deal out and just walked away with $30,000, it would have meant a lot more to my business, not my heart, but it would have meant a lot more to my business by getting that money quickly and reinvesting it into more marketing versus having to wait for a full year and flip and deal with project management and contractors and all that stuff. So guys, to kind of wrap this up, wholesaling is a great way to build capital. Creative finance is a great way to build a portfolio. But if you're not building consistent cash reserves that are allowing you to buy those creative deals, now we can talk about private money. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but buying your deals yourself, not bringing in a partner or any private capital, but buying the deals yourself, you need to have a working marketing system of bringing in more cash deals and more cash deals. Look at it this way. If you look at a teeter-totter, one side is going to be your cash deals, and the other side is going to be your creative deals or your flips. For every creative deal or flip you do, you need to be doing at least 3 smaller wholesale deals to balance out your business, because it's an asymmetrical bet. If you're focused on small wins all the time, great, but you're never going to get those big home runs that are going to be able to scale your business. And vice versa, if you're getting nothing but big home runs, you have nothing to stabilize your business. So take that advice, guys. Any questions you have, let me know. And don't forget, we've got our Investor Semester community. Join the Facebook group. Just search the Investor Semester. And if you guys also want to join our private community for just $1, go to investorsemester.com and check it out. So see you guys in the next episode.